Mario? Is it Mario?
Yeah.
It's Mario.
Mario, some people call it.
It's the masculine form of Maria.
Okay. All right. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Oh, that was a little education moment there. He has a new game. I hear he's had other ones.
A few.
This one is for the Switch, which is the new hotness. The new hotness. Everybody
Nintendo
loves.
really locked down that console exclusivity with Mario this time.
Yeah, they must have spent a ton of money to really land that one. So Odyssey. I mean, it's. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure at its core, it's a sequel to Abe's Odyssey, right?
It is. That's the same weird spelling.
Yeah.
Odyssey.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, tell us tell us what this new Mario is all about. What is the thrust? This is the one where it's a party, right? And everyone plays a board game.
No.
No. This is one where it's tennis, and it's
no. You're off the beaten path again.
Golf.
No.
Okay.
You know your series.
Is he versus Donkey Kong?
You're missing the big beats.
Am I missing the big beats? So this is a return to 2D side scrolling.
Kind of. There's some of that.
Oh, really?
There's some nods to the past.
Ooh, nods to the past. All right. Well, what do we need to know about Super Mario Odyssey?
So Super Mario Odyssey is a new 3D Mario entry. That's kind of the series that fans have coined it to be. There's the 2D games and then the 3D. So this is in the same vein as Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, right? That's kind of the core of this series. Odyssey kind of pays homage to 64 the most. That's not to say it disregards the innovations and things that came along the way, but it really does kind of say that game was great. We're paying our respects to it. There are all sorts of different secrets and moments that call back to that game specifically.
Gotcha.
And to your point, it also calls back to the very first Super Mario game on NES. So as you're exploring the world, you'll be in 3D space, but every once in a while you'll go into 2D space where it is straight up 8-bit pixel Mario moments. And they blend them seamlessly sometimes. So you'll be running in 3D, go into a tube, you're in 2D, break a brick, and just pop right out into 3D again. It's very cool.
That is awesome.
But Mario games in the past, once you think of Mario, you think of platforming, right? Like bouncing around, leaping. This game is more about exploration and kind of paving your own path in somewhat sizable open world space. And that's kind of another callback to 64, where it was very much like, I need to find a star in this level. Where is it going to be? You just kind of go off in one direction, kind of see a little challenge area, complete it, you get the star, you get knocked out. This game, there's over 800 different moons. That's their new version of stars.
Gotcha.
Like, how do you innovate beyond stars? Well,
moons. Yeah.
They've had suns. They've had stars.
Next is space stations, right?
Yeah. Meteors.
But so there are a ton of them in this game. I don't know how long they worked on this project, but they're everywhere. So some of them are super easy to find, and they're not really challenges where you'll just see a glowing clump of grass.
So you're saying it took them a long time to get to 800 moons when they just dropped moons in a clump of grass?
But I mean, some of them are super clever. Like, they're just tucked out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, figuring out how to get it is like, whoa, that took some ingenuity on my part. The game makes you feel clever. That's one of the best parts of this is like...
And I need moons for what?
Unlocking new levels.
Okay. All right.
Costumes. But Mario is sharing the spotlight this time with his hat. Actually, he loses his hat at the beginning of the game and ends up befriending this ghostly being named Cappy. And Cappy possesses a unique power in that he can, when he touches another being, he lets the user that was wearing it before become that being. So when you throw Cappy at like a Goomba, Mario's spirit is transported into the Goomba, and then it has his mustache. There are over 50 different transformations in the game, all of them offering different gameplay. So Goomba just jumps around, right? Like, it doesn't have anything else, but the Goombas can stack. So you can have stacks of, like, I've seen maybe 15 different Goombas standing on top of each other. That's like a challenge where you're stacking them. And then there are other transformations like a giant T-Rex that you can be. I don't want to spoil too many of them. A coin coffer, that can spit out coins for various reasons. There's a ton of them. Like, even just like a random tree you can transform into.
Cappy does not sound like he is for good. I mean, he's a force for evil.
This sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it's a horror game.
Yeah, you get, like you're just a normal Goomba out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, like, you wake up and you're a stack of like 15 of them, like human centipede kind of crap. Like,
that is,
what is this?
This is
when he's done
terrifying.
possessing them, do they die?
Yes.
I mean, essentially,
Jesus.
Mario he's a mass murderer with a hat.
He always, let's be honest, he always has been.
That's true.
This is probably the darkest game since Manhunt.
All right. M-rated Mario. Rated M for Mario.
It's disturbing. But
do you have an earpiece where Wario talks in your ear?
But you add all this together where Mario just has this really dynamic moveset. The triple jump is back from Mario 64. But then you have Cappy. You could throw it out straight. You can, use your Joy-Cons to give it a little curve. You can spin it around. You have a really dynamic, you can throw it out, hold it down so it's spinning in front of you, and then jump on it. And so you kind of get an extra boost in your jump. There's a ton of moves in this game. The deepest well of moves that Mario's had in any game, and they're all put to good use in these
the most
worlds.
buttons on a Nintendo controller in a long time.
The most symmetrical controller Nintendo has ever made.
So one thing I will say for people that are going to play this, and I'm sure most of you out there are going to play it, is it's easier to play with motion. I know that sounds terrifying, but it is very, very easy to perform these moves. Like when you want to do your hat spin, you just kind of hit both of them at the same time. Whereas if you're using the Pro Controller, which still feels great, you're going to have to kind of wind up yourself, before you can throw it. So there's a little bit more input and chances to fail in that, whereas just a quick flick will get it done.
So there's no motion stuff on the Pro Controller?
You can, but it's like there's certain ones where you're going to want to do individual sequences. Or if you're plugged into the Switch, that's another instance where
you throw the Switch.
Where you will run into that problem, right? So definitely play it with the Joy-Cons.
You say problem. I mean, it's just it's an extra step, but it's not
an
like
extra
it's not
step.
impossible. You didn't you didn't have a level where you went like, okay, I've got to take these out and use these.
There were moments where I did.
There was that
where
I
felt maybe it could have been done that way, yes, but I was more confident in my skills with the motion, so I did take off the Joy-Cons, prop up the Switch, and play that way, and then plug them back in and go mobile again. So yeah, that's the first time I've ever done that in a Switch game.
Wow, that's interesting.
Whereas Zelda, I'd never had it undocked, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's a increased focus on exploration. Do you feel like the platforming side of that sort of holds up its part? Because are there times where here is a platforming challenge that you have to complete that feels sort of satisfying in the way?
So one of my big complaints early on in the game was I wasn't getting a lot of those platforming moments. It felt like really small one-off challenges. Once you beat the game, that's not the end of the adventure. Like you'll see the credits roll, but that's only, it's not quite half, but you've only completed a portion of the game. A lot of it comes after the credits roll, and it's all new challenges. And that's where a lot of those really cool point A to point B do or die platforming challenges, like in Galaxy's vein, appear. And that's only in the end game. Right. But I mean, there's so much to do. Just, I would say there's 500 moons to get before you get to that end game. And that's significant. I mean, a lot of them are really well hidden, very clever means to obtaining them, whether it's puzzles or ARG platforming things.
Are there any stuff like where you have to take out a piece of paper and like decode something? Okay.
So
nothing that intricate.
I mean, there are...
You have to play Picross.
Yeah.
There's one challenge where I did snap a couple of photos with my phone.
Okay.
Kind of a drawing challenge where they show you an image of something and then you got to reassemble it with pieces. So I was like, boy, I kind of Frankensteined it. It looks awful. So I took a picture of it to see what it looked like, and then I reassembled it. So I kind of cheated in that way. But a variety of challenges, like there are some repeated things throughout levels, like doing a certain thing over and over and over. But they do a good job of elevating either the difficulty or kind of adapting the environment itself into making it different. And the worlds themselves, too, are just fascinating. Everything from your typical element-based zones, fire and snow, to just kingdoms made out of like food, that's something you really haven't seen in a Mario game. But they're fun to explore. Every kingdom's fun. Swimming is still not that great.
Yeah.
And there's two big regions that really kind of hang their hat on swimming. So that's a knock against the game. Like I wish they would have innovated a little bit more in that space. And then there's these racing challenges, which I didn't like at all. They're really tough. Every second counts. You're racing against Koopa Troopers. But as I found,
as Mario, or is he transformed to something else?
As Mario.
Okay.
And you could see, we posted a video online, or maybe Leo can even splice in some footage here. But the Koopas can actually, they'll cheat. They'll go through enemies. They'll go through walls. It just doesn't seem fair. And especially Nintendo always has a high level of polish. And it's all throughout this game. Just these one-off races just don't.
They needed to give you a blue turtle shell.
Right. Let me cheat. But yeah, they frustrated me, and especially in that kind of challenge of every second counts. Seeing an enemy
feel fair. That was why
phase through another enemy, whereas you got to jump over it or go directly through a wall for no reason. Like that sucks in my opinion. So those are the two minor notes I have. One, mission type, and then the swimming just kind of feels archaic. But here's the thing: like if you don't have to get every moon to get to the end game content, because you can go into a store. You're going to hate hearing this, but just buy moons.
Okay, yeah.
Only using in-game currency.
No real money. Mario doesn't
no
want
real
your
money,
dollar.
but it is just one click away from that, right? Like, so you can spend your coins in the game to not only buy costumes, but you can buy moons if you want to kind of cheat your way or speed up the process to getting more levels and different secrets.
So with this being a bit of an ode to 64, is the castle hidden in this game somewhere? Do I jump through windows? I mean, like I feel like there are a lot of odes to 64 that I kind of feel like I need to see if you're calling it that, or you can't answer. You can't answer.
I really shouldn't answer.
He's answering.
I will say yes. You do jump through paintings at one point. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're moving through different environments at a good clip, or do you feel like you're confined to like
like if you want to just like go from point A to point B, see credits, you could probably get this game done in 6 to 7 hours, I would say.
Oh, wow, that's really fast.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they spit out moons. Like a lot of them you'll just find just kind of floating around under a tree or something that are really easy to get. But if you really want to go and see the depth this game has, that will take a lot of time. So you can go from maybe spending 40 minutes in a region to just countless hours, right? Just trying to find everything.
So we know as you move to the challenging stuff later that it gets to be like extremely hectic, very precision-based platforming. But Mario bosses have been off and on. How's the boss experience in this one?
There's one really fantastic one against Bowser. I mean, that's not a spoiler.
Whoa! Bowser's in this game?
You'll see him in the opening frame of this game. I mean, if you're upset that I told you that, you should not be on the internet anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that is as base of a point of the game.
Guess I'm off the internet.
The other ones, you kind of take on these white rabbits throughout the game that
are they
like the ones from 64,
or
like the ones you have to catch
from Ubisoft?
Yeah, it's a weird obsession with white rabbits right now for this series. No, they're like a new iteration of these. They're giant rabbits, and they're very easy to take down, and a lot of repetition in that. So that's another small mark against the game, I would say, is again, they haven't really figured out how to make really fun boss fights.
Yeah,
and I think that's a problem, across the board for a lot of games, right? Like that's a tough thing to do. But they do have these in the game a lot. There's even a boss rush mode toward the end where you go after them one after one after one, and they up the difficulty on it at least.
Yeah.
But it's still like once you figure out the pattern, you're like, this will just take a couple.
Are
minutes.
there any additional songs like the main theme that are voiced?
No comment.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to spoil.
We are so good at asking questions, Suriel.
That's right.
There are some moments in this game that are very interesting.
Okay.
I'll say that much.
Does Cappy sing?
No.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect from your, I don't know if it's something, here's a cool moment, or there's something so weird like that Halloween or that Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons where it comes on. It's like real life for real. But yeah, that sounds like exactly what I wanted to hear.
Is there a dinosaur dance number?
Is he involved? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think. I almost just
Can you ride Yoshi?
I suck at this. I'm sorry. No comment. I mean, you guys, you got to stop asking these questions.
I guess we do. But I mean, I don't know. It feels like there's logical ways it goes, and it does things. So do you find yourself like wanting to find powers to like use. I mean, that's you're like, hey, I need to come back here. I can't get past this.
Yes, you will be looking for certain creatures in the environment to use, or getting extra health that can help you in certain things. So there is some back and forth. There are some challenges that link up worlds together via wormhole, which is kind of a weird thing where you'll bounce from one world to the next. But most of it is in those regions where it is everything you see there will help you complete that challenge.
Secret pipes?
Yeah, lots of secret pipes.
Lots of secret pipes.
Secret chimneys too.
Speak
of innovation.
Do the forms feel like they're useful beyond sort of being keys to locks? Like are there certain forms that you like, regardless of what I'm doing, I want to be, like this particular form, or is it something like the reason I am this thing is just to open this lock so I can keep going?
To solve the various puzzle through that area.
Yeah, it's either figure out how to unearth that moon, or sometimes they'll have them in platforming challenges where you got to use that creature exclusively, but most of them don't have a great means of traversal. There's like a Koopa Trooper that throws hammers that is super powerful and can jump really high, so you can keep him going around for a bit. But like a Wiggler, all it does is extend its body. It can't jump. So you're kind of confined in spaces in that regard. So some you can use more than for that one challenge, but most of them are just kind of for that moment, right? Or discovering something, right?
So when you talk about the motion controls and kind of put everything together, I mean, did you play this game on the handheld a lot, or did you play it on a television screen?
I played it every which way I possibly could for extended periods of time. I found it best on the TV, just being able to do the motion and have that response on the big screen was great. Whereas, when you have it kind of the switch set up in front of you, you're kind of leaning in it.
Yeah, but I mean, not even just. I mean, literally. If I want to say like I'm going to Tokyo, I got 14 hours on a plane.
You'll be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah. There will be moments where you might be like putting the tray down for this one sequence. Gonna put the switch down for a second.
Gonna use the stand.
But you'll be fine playing it on the Switch. I thought I enjoyed Zelda more in handheld mode on the go. I don't know what it was, but whereas Mario is the exact opposite, I liked it more on my TV.
Gotcha.
And it might just be that motion stuff, right?
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
But it's a fantastic game, right? Like where Zelda kind of redefined what Zelda is, took some big chances. This is just more of the same for Mario. So I think Zelda is the better game still.
Yeah.
But Mario's right there.
So in this controversial world that we live in, where Mario stands next to humans, did it destroy everything you knew about mankind and shatter your image of Mario forever, or did you just not even care?
I still think it's weird. It has like a weird Roger Rabbit kind of feel to it.
Gotcha.
I didn't like that zone that much, to be honest with you. Like being in New York as Mario, that's kind of what it feels like. It's called New Donk City, but they are trying to go for like Manhattan type of thing.
Yeah.
It just seems strange, but when you put it all together, like all the levels together and how different they are, it really kind of fits and makes sense in that context. But yeah, when I was there, I was just like, this is a little strange. There's fun stuff to do there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have that kind of creative aspect that you
usually
see in Mario.
I just love that it caused so much trouble being at E3 that everyone was so enamored by
yeah, I mean, all you guys that were complaining canceled your pre-orders, right? Like, you're not getting the game, right? All those angry comments you left.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. It's fun to complain about stuff. I certainly know I love to complain about stuff, but it certainly did seem like, I mean, it didn't seem that big a deal to me at the time.
No, it's weird, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
That's about it.
Does it get any weirder?
No, that's about as weird as it
gets.
gets.
About as weird as it gets. All right. Yeah. So when you talk about, are you a 3D or 2D Mario guy? What do you think is the best?
3D now.
3D now. You say now.
Well, we've had some new 2D Mario games that I don't think they're quite as good, but it's more like the multiplayer aspect that maybe hurt those. Or Mario Maker, that was cool, but they're like, you make your own game.
Yeah.
We're done making these, you make it. So I think we've just had more innovation and breakthroughs in the 3D space, and I think they're more entertaining at this point. But, young Reiner was like Super Mario World and Super Mario 3, like, holy crap.
All right.
Blew my mind. So it's hard to say place and time, but yeah, I think the 3D series is definitely on the up and up, whereas 2D just feels nostalgic at this point.
And I might have my memory wrong here, and correct me, but I thought Galaxy 2 was your favorite?
Galaxy 1.
Galaxy 1 is your favorite.
Yeah, Galaxy, I mean, you kind of put those together as like, that's the only like really true through line to sequels.
The story only makes sense if you play both.
It's like Mass Effect, yeah. But those are like one game split into two, right? That's what it feels like to me. But Galaxy 1 just blew my mind, bouncing from planet to planet, and the stuff they did with gravity. I was like, this is crazy town. So that's my favorite in the series.
Still is.
Yep, Odyssey's number 2.
Number 2. So it doesn't quite pass Galaxy, but it's
Correct.
up there.
It's up there. I mean, it's fantastic, and you could play this one. Like I said, over 800 moons. That's crazy, crazy, crazy.
And it looks good every time I go by your office and see you playing. I usually try to stop for a couple minutes and watch it. I mean, it looks great. It's got all that Mario. It's got the vibe. I mean, it definitely captures everything I think we've all loved about Mario over the years.
I mean, good luck Nintendo making a sequel, because you keep setting the bar really high. Not just in like terms of creativity, but just the sheer amount of content in this game and Zelda. Like, holy crap!
Well, think about Switch next year.
There's Metroid got pushed out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that like they had a Mario and a Zelda.
Yeah, you can't top that.
I mean, a Mario and a Zelda.
Yeah, what do they have? Donkey Kong, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pokemon and Metroid are sounding like 2019.
I'm really curious to see how they're gonna announce and release stuff next year, because it feels like at this point they're gonna have to all be short-term announcements of like announced in January, releases in the fall or something like it. I'm curious to see what they do.
I mean, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. I mean, on a new platform, you want a Zelda, you want a Mario. I just don't know how they follow up. I don't know. So does it feel like something where they could, I mean, not to be like DLC, but could they make smaller Mario games that you could play and have fun with?
I mean, they could keep adding challenges to these zones, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they did it. You get the credits, and then you go back through the zones, and they feel new again. Which is pretty crazy, right?
That is crazy, yeah.
So they could do that again, sure. That'd be a pretty easy thing if they have the ideas.
I mean, I feel like, at least for me, to some degree, I'm kind of with you. I feel like my Switch, more often than not, I'm playing it as a handheld.
Mm-hmm.
I think I find it to be that for me, and that's because I play too many PC games. There's a lot of issues here, but I also have a thing with handheld games that I like to return to them. Do you know what I mean? Like I really like to like much more than console. I tend to beat a console game or a PC game and kind of go like checkbox, move on. But handheld are things that I revisit quite often, and I think if you could really get a Mario that you can revisit, and it sounds like since you can finish this game and go back and do these boss rush and kind of like these challenges over and over again, and just kind of always hop in, play a little bit, and get out. That's a pretty good formula as a handheld for me.
You could lose yourself in this one and have this be your travel game for a long time.
Yeah, that's good news. That's good news.
That's what a hell of a year for Switch.
That is amazing.
Seriously,
that's amazing. So, normally at this point in the process, I would ask Reiner what score he's going to give it, but I actually think this is actually an interesting question because you're still battling it out.
Yeah, between a 7 and a 7.5. I just don't know where it's going to land.
And when you listen to this podcast, the review score will already be out. The review will be on the site. It will be out there. But I think what's interesting here, what I'm bringing this up for, is just I think it's interesting that people always talk about how people give reviews and review scores and what happens, and quite often this is the face of what a review score towards the end is anxiety.
Yeah.
Is watching someone, because everyone walks by, because no one tries to ask, just as a little insider on Game Informer, no one wants to ask when they're still like, hey, you done yet? Yeah. You getting close. You kind of you want to make sure they're kind of done. You don't want to influence anybody, but you want to know. So it's a question you ask in passing, and you watch people be kind of torn for a bit, and then you see them come to a point where they've kind of put the pin in the wall, but it could go down a little bit, could go up a little bit. I got to think things through, and Reiner has been doing that all day today.
Yeah, the review's mostly written. I mean, that's where we're at. The review text always comes first.
Yeah.
Getting all your points out. And then, the score, it's agonizing at times.
This
is one of those, I'll say it's 9+, right? I could reveal that now. It's way the hell up there. It's just where it lands in that area.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, reviewing games is hard. I mean, you want a series you love and series that you want to give, but you also want to be think about where they stand and what they do and what they don't do, which is sometimes hard to judge things about what they don't do or don't do well. It's a tough place sometimes.
Yeah, it's like how much did the bosses, the swimming, and those races bug me, right? Like, like how much does that really kind of hold this experience back to a degree?
And you play a lot of games where there's parts that bug you, right? Yeah. I mean, it's rare that I have a game that I go all the way through that there's not something where I'm like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's no such thing as perfection, right?
Yeah, there is no such thing as perfection. Which for a long time, Reiner and I, we were basically like, no game can get a 10. And we've definitely like loosened up on that over the years, but because there is no perfection, but it is a question of where you think it stands.
I think everybody goes through that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you go through that thinking process of what these scores actually mean, and especially for us as an outlet, like figuring out that scale. That was something we had to figure out 25 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and we talk about changing it every once in a while. It's a tough conversation, and people that say no scores. I always say do what works for you, right? I think at least for a lot of our people, and please let us know in the comments, right? I think people like the quick and easy reference of a score. I like watching like you agonize over this. I think it's an important thing. I think it's a hard thing to say. Sometimes you're like, you're kind of giving a relative. I mean, let's be clear. All scores are kind of make no sense, but yet make some sense at the same time, right? Like
even people saying like, "Oh, we don't give scores," when it's like, well, yes or no is a score.
Yeah,
and then it's like yes, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then even if they don't do that, they'll give you like quick bullets. Like they want you to read it, but it's like, yeah, you're doing it again, like to a degree.
I mean, to everything we all kind of put something into.
You're totally right.
In some way, it's tough.
The text is what really matters, right?
The text is what really matters.
What we say is, that is the review. The score.
Yeah, most people are usually more tied to the text they wrote than the score they give. That said, I do like scores as sort of like a shorthand of like this number sort of kind of lets you know where I'm coming from when I write these words.
And there's things too. It's like the hardest ones sometimes are the ones where you're like, I love this game. It has so many problems, like that you can't avoid. But that's definitely one of the tricky things about it. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for. I mean, new Mario is always a reason for excitement. But I think on the Switch, the Switch has been the hottest product this year.
Yeah, and one quick thing, like you mentioned the games we're going to be talking about today. It comes out on Friday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
With on the same day,
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Origins and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus and Stranger Things Season 2 on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
So it is one of the biggest entertainment days in the biggest one of the year. So if you're thinking about going out and having an expensive lunch or getting another coffee, you might want to save those dollars because Friday's going to be expensive.
Well, I hope this Mario character has some name recognition, so people will know, what he's about.
I hope stores carry it. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's just really sad because he's had to like show his nipples just to get people to care.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.